I escaped the men who buried me alive. Then their boss found my grave. I woke inside a box. There was no light. My knees were trapped against my chest. One arm was pinned beneath my body. Wood pressed against my face. My mouth tasted of blood and chemicals. I pushed upward. The lid did not move. Soil pressed against it. I screamed. The sound struck the wood and returned to me. Then I remembered. The casino, the service corridor, the cloth forced over my mouth, a man saying, "Put her beside the other one." They had buried me alive. I hit the lid until my knuckles split. I kicked, scratched, called for help until my voice disappeared. The air grew hot. Each breath became harder than the last. Then I heard an engine above me. I struck the wood again. Nothing. I tore at it with my nails. The engine stopped. Footsteps crossed the ground. I scratched harder. A voice came from somewhere above. "Did you hear that?" Another man answered. "No." I struck the lid once. Silence followed. Then the first man said, "Get the shovel." 6 hours earlier, I had been cleaning champagne from the carpet at the Halcyon Rooms. My name was Mireth Dane. I was 28 and worked the night shift beneath the Carrick Grand Hotel. The Halcyon Rooms was a private casino for wealthy clients who expected discretion. The staff rules were strict. Do not speak to guests unless addressed. Do not touch anything left on the gaming tables. Never repeat what you heard. Leave immediately when security ordered you out. I had followed those rules for 7 months. At 2:14 that morning, I found a black high heel beneath the service stairs. There was blood inside it. I looked up. A door was closing at the top of the stairs. Before it shut, I saw a man dragging a woman through it. Only her arm was visible. I recognized the man, Cairn Deller, head of night security. I should have walked away. Instead, I followed. The corridor beyond the door led into an abandoned wing of the hotel. The woman was lying on the floor. I had seen her earlier at table 19. She wore a red dress and had asked me for an exit that did not pass through the main lobby. Cairn stood over her with another guard, Brecon Shaw. Cairn searched her handbag and removed a small recording device. "You said I could leave," the woman said. "You came here asking questions," Cairn replied. "My sister worked here. She called me from this building before she disappeared." Cairn crushed the recorder beneath his shoe. The woman tried to stand. My foot struck a bucket. It fell. Cairn turned toward the sound. I ran. Brecon caught my coat, but I slipped out of it. Cairn reached the next door before I did. He struck me across the face. "What did you hear?" "Nothing. He hit me again." Brecon watched the corridor. "We can't leave her here." Cairn seized my jaw. "You know who owns this building." Everyone knew. Thane Carrick owned the hotel, the casino, and several major properties across the city. His name appeared at charity events and in investigations that never reached trial. "You think the police will believe a cleaner over Carrick?" I spat blood onto Cairn's shirt. His expression changed. Brecon glanced at the woman in red. "What do we do with her?" Cairn took a cloth from his pocket. "Put her beside the other one." I fought until the chemical entered my lungs. Then everything went dark. The men believed I was dead when they placed me in the box. They buried me behind an abandoned chapel 12 miles outside the city. I would have died there if Thane Carrick had not been following them. He had planted tracking devices in vehicles used by members of his security team. 3 years earlier, his younger sister, Keris, had disappeared. The police claimed she had left voluntarily, but her passport, car, and bank accounts remained untouched. A groundskeeper had once reported seeing a Carrick Company vehicle near the abandoned chapel shortly after Keris vanished. He later withdrew his statement. Thane suspected someone inside his organization. That morning, one of Cairn's vehicles drove to the chapel, remained there for 27 minutes and returned to the city. Thane followed the tracker. He expected to find hidden evidence. Instead, he heard me scratching beneath the soil. His driver, Garin, began digging. Thane took the shovel from him. They uncovered the wooden box and broke the lid. Cold air reached me. I grabbed the first thing above me, a man's wrist. The lid was torn away. Morning light filled the grave. I saw a tall man in a dark coat kneeling above me. Thane Carrick. His eyes moved over my uniform, my bleeding hands, and the hotel badge on my chest. "You work for me." I tried to push myself deeper into the box. He stopped reaching for me. "Who did this?" I looked at him. "You." His face hardened. "What?" "Your men." He glanced at the tire tracks surrounding the grave. "Which men?" "You don't know?" He said nothing. "You built something so rotten that men bury women beneath it, and you don't know." He had no answer. Thane took me to a public hospital. I refused to let him touch me. When Garin tried to lift me from the grave, I fought him. Thane placed his coat on the ground and moved back. "I'm not getting into your car," I whispered. "You need treatment. Call the police." His eyes shifted toward the chapel. "Not until we know what else is here." I laughed. My voice barely worked. "You are protecting yourself." "I am trying to understand what happened. Your men buried me." Before he answered, Garin called from behind the chapel. He had found another disturbed patch of soil. The police later recovered 2 bodies. One belonged to the woman in red. Her name was Sella Merrick. The second was her younger sister, Bryn Hale, a former casino employee who had been missing for 18 months. Sella had entered the Halcyon rooms searching for her. Brecken was arrested before noon. Cairn disappeared. He knew I had survived. That made me the only living witness to what he had done. I remained in hospital for 3 days. I could not tolerate closed doors, elevators, or blankets near my face. On the second night, Thane came to see me. I refused to let him enter. He waited outside the ward. Eventually, I walked into the corridor. "What do you want?" "To know what happened before they took you." I told the police. "You did not tell them everything. You think I'm lying?" "I think you are afraid. Of you." "I know." He did not defend himself. "You came to the chapel because of your sister." "Yes." "You thought Cairn killed her." "I still don't know." "Why didn't you trust the police?" One officer repeated a detail that had never been released. "What detail?" "Keris was missing one shoe. I remembered the black heel beneath the stairs." "What color?" "Black." My stomach tightened. "Sella lost a black shoe." Thane's expression changed. "Where?" "Near the old service wing beneath the west ballroom." He turned to leave. I caught his sleeve. "Cairn knew you were tracking him." Thane stopped. "If he knew, he would have cleared the chapel. Unless he wanted you there." That was when the shape of the trap became clear. Cairn had deliberately used the tracked vehicle. He wanted Thane occupied at the chapel. While Thane was digging, someone entered his private office and emptied the safe containing 3 years of evidence about Ceres. My burial had been part of Cairn's distraction. I returned to my apartment after leaving hospital. 6 hours later, someone placed a small wooden box outside my door. It was empty. I collapsed on the stairs. The police arrived, but the building cameras had been disabled. That evening, Thane came. "Pack your things. I'm not going anywhere with you. Cairn knows where you live. So do you. I'm not trying to kill you. Your men already did." He absorbed the words without reacting. "The police offered protective accommodation," I said. "The address has been compromised." "How do you know?" "I gave one officer a false location. 20 minutes later, a car connected to Cairn passed it." I stared at him. "You used me to test a leak." "I used a false address." "You made that decision without telling me." "Yes." The answer was direct. No excuse. "Where do you expect me to go?" "My house." I refused until I looked at the wooden box again. "I want to sleep without feeling soil against my face." He did not promise that I would. He only held out his hand. I stood without taking it. He lowered it and walked beside me. Thane's house was large, guarded, and full of heavy doors. I need the lock removed from my bedroom. It will be done. And the bathroom. Yes, I need every window to open. They do. No lifts. There are stairs. I want to see the basement. He showed it to me. The first night, I woke screaming. Thane was seated in the hallway outside my room. He had not entered. How long was I screaming? Several minutes. Why didn't you touch me? You have had enough men decide what happens to your body. I closed the door. His restraint unsettled me more than force would have. It made it harder to reduce him to the man who owned the casino. The investigation returned to the halcyon rooms. I went with the police to reconstruct the night of the attack. In the staff room, I noticed a photograph from a charity event. Karen stood among several employees. Behind him was Keris Carrick. The photograph had been taken 6 months after she officially disappeared. Thane arrived and stared at it. She was alive. An older cleaner named Edris recognized Keris. She revealed that Ceres had discovered Cairn was using casino surveillance to blackmail wealthy guests. He collected evidence of affairs, drug use, bribery, and illegal gambling. Keris had taken her suspicions to Thane. Thane did not believe her. Cairn had worked beside him for 15 years. Keris left after the argument and began gathering evidence alone. Outside the casino, Thane stood in the rain. You chose Cairn over her, I said. Yes. She came to you afraid. I thought she was mistaken. Then she disappeared. He looked toward the street. I know what I did. Do you? His eyes returned to me. You sit outside my room every night because you failed to believe her. He did not deny it. The realization disturbed me. I am not Ceres. I know. Then stop protecting me, as though saving me will repair what happened to her. I left him there. 3 days later, Cairn called me. You survived. His voice returned me to the coffin. My breath stopped. Does Thane sit outside your door? He asked. How do you know? He becomes loyal after it is too late. I forced myself to remain silent. Where is Keris? Ask him what she offered me. The call ended. Thane found me sitting on the floor. What did Ceres offer Cairn? I asked. His reaction answered before he spoke. Keris had transferred a large sum of money to Cairn shortly before she disappeared. Thane believed she had joined him. He had spent 3 years unsure whether she was a victim or an accomplice. You kept this from me. It did not concern your case. Cairn called me because it does. Thane held out his hand for my phone. I gave it to him. Then the house lights went out. The darkness closed over me. I fell. The grave returned. I fought when Thane reached me. My nails cut his face. He held my wrists without forcing me down. You are not underground. I could not breathe. The window is open. Feel the air. Cold air moved across my skin. You are inside the house. My eyes opened. His face was close. Blood ran from the scratch on his cheek. I kissed him. It was sudden and desperate. He pulled away. You were frightened. Stop telling me what I meant. You do not know what you meant. Neither do you. No, he moved back. Until you do, I will not take anything from you. He left the room. The refusal remained with me. Ceres was alive. She had escaped Cairn and lived under another name in a different city. She stayed hidden because she believed Thane had approved Cairn's operation. Cairn had shown her documents carrying Thane's real signatures. He had attached those signatures to false security budgets used to finance the blackmail network. Thane believed Keris had joined Cairn. Keris believed her brother had built the operation. Cairn had kept them separated through evidence designed to confirm their worst suspicions. Edris helped us locate Ceres. When she opened her door and saw Thane, she tried to close it. He did not force his way inside. I didn't know, he said. You never know, she replied. Then she saw me. Who are you? One of the things he didn't know. She studied me before opening the door. Keris had collected evidence against Cairn, but the original surveillance archive remained missing. Bryn had discovered part of it while performing maintenance inside the old casino wing. Cairn killed her to contain the discovery. Sella came looking for Bryn. Then I saw Sella. The archive was still hidden somewhere inside the casino. I returned to the service corridor with Thane, Ceres, and the police. My body resisted each step. The archive was concealed behind a false wall. Cairn was waiting near it. He ran when he saw us. I followed until we reached the narrow corridor where he had caught me. My legs stopped moving. Cairn turned. "You should have stayed buried." Thane stepped in front of me. Cairn raised a gun. I saw a working security camera above him. The police were approaching from another entrance, but Cairn did not know. I began speaking. "You killed Bryn." He smiled. "No one cared about her. You killed Sella. She should have stopped searching. You failed to kill Keris." His expression shifted. Thane noticed. "You let her escape." I continued. "I made a mistake. No, you could kill workers and witnesses, but not her. Shut up. You loved her." Cairn raised the weapon higher. Ceres had pretended to return his interest so she could gain access to evidence. When Cairn discovered the deception, he hesitated. She escaped. For 3 years he had eliminated anyone who might lead Thane back to her. He fired. Thane pulled me down. The bullet struck the wall. Police entered from both ends of the corridor. Cairn was arrested alive. The security camera recorded his admissions. So, did the device concealed beneath my coat. No one could bury the evidence again. The Halcyon rooms closed. Thane sold the casino. Cairn was convicted of murder, attempted murder, blackmail, and conspiracy. Brecken testified against him. Several executives and police officers were arrested. Bryn and Sella were returned to their family and buried together. Keris remained in the city, but did not move back into Thane's home. Their relationship would have to be rebuilt slowly. I also left. Thane did not try to stop me. He stood at the end of the corridor while I packed. "You are going home." "Yes, it is safe now. I know." He placed a key on the table. "The front gate. I won't need it. I know." "Then why give it to me? So returning will always be your decision." I took my bag and left the key where it was. I found work restoring damaged books. I went to therapy. I learned to sleep with the light off. Later, I learned to close the bedroom door. I could not enter an elevator, but I stopped treating that as failure. 4 months passed before I saw Thane again. He was across the street with Ceres. They embraced awkwardly before entering a cafe. He did not see me. That night, I thought about him without thinking about the grave. It was the first time I understood that my feelings for him had survived the danger. 6 months after I left, he came to my apartment. "I have spent months deciding whether coming here would be selfish," he said. "And it is. But staying away has also become dishonest." I let him inside. We sat together. Nothing happened that night. That was how we began. It took another year before we became lovers. We needed to know whether anything remained when there were no killers, investigations, or locked houses binding us together. There was. The attraction became quieter when it no longer had fear beneath it. Thane stopped trying to anticipate every danger around me. I stopped treating every act of care as control. He repaired his relationship with Ceres without demanding forgiveness. I learned that his guilt belonged to him. I could not carry it for him. The first time I slept at his house again, the bedroom door had been restored. I closed it, locked it, then opened it. Thane stood in the hallway. "Are you all right?" "Yes." "Why did you open the door?" "Because I want you inside." He waited. "Come in, Thane." Only then did he cross the threshold. 2 years after Cairn's conviction, we returned to the abandoned chapel. The graves had been cleared. Wild grass covered the ground where the boxes had been. I stood where Thane had found me. My hands began to shake. He waited until I reached for him before taking them. "Would you have opened the box if someone else had been inside?" I asked. "Yes, even if that person meant nothing to your investigation. He looked at the ground. I heard someone alive beneath the soil. There was no other choice. I believed him. That was not why I loved him. I did not love him because he had rescued me. He had only opened the box. I loved him because afterward he never asked me to repay survival with devotion. He gave me space when closeness felt like danger, truth when the truth made him look guilty. A locked door when I wanted one, an open one when I did not. Behind us stood the place where men had tried to erase me. Ahead of me was the life I had chosen after surviving them. Thane held my hand. We walked away from the grave together. He had opened the box, but the rest of my life belonged to me.